I want to thank you for joining me for episode 24 of MidMOMama. My name is Jenny and I live in Sedalia, Missouri in the United States, where I am making in the Midwest. My program is about yarn crafts, recipes, and whatever else I decide I want to talk about. And in today's episode, I'm so delighted to tell you that I've lasted an entire year. This is episode number 24, and I do my show twice a month. So this is it. This is the final episode of my first year, and I am so delighted. I'm so delighted to share with you that I have survived a year on YouTube. And it's been wonderful. So there's no surviving involved. You just get a camera and you get some stuff that you want to talk about, and you have a show. And I've had my very own show for a whole year now, and I'm very happy, and I am delighted to have shared an entire year of crafting and recipes with you. So in today's episode, to commemorate my first anniversary, I am going to have a spectacular giveaway. I am also, I haven't finished any projects, but I'm going to show you what I'm working on. And I have several patterns featured in Mama's Pattern Showcase that I would like to show off. I have two recipes to share with you. The first one is a See It Disappear shrimp dip, and in the baking segment I have what is it called? I can't remember the exact name of it. What is it called? I have to tell you. I have to use the right name. I'm sharing butterscotch streusel muffin tops, if I could say it right. Butterscotch streusel muffin tops, which they ended up being cookies, soft cookies, but they were delicious, and I'm going to share the recipe with you. So if those things sound like stuff that you'd be interested in, then I encourage you to keep watching, and we'll get to those things in due time. So let's get this show on the road. So this time we are having a giveaway. And what am I giving away this time? You're going to be amazed. See, I'm having a MidMOMama anniversary giveaway. I have been producing 2 episodes a month since March 2020. And today, of course, is my 24th episode. And I would like to celebrate by giving away a beautiful collection of yarns, as well as a book that I've recently finished that contains a daily devotion and a few recipes. Because my program is about yarn crafts and recipes, and oftentimes I feature books that I'm reading on my program, I thought that an anniversary prize that reflects all that I do on MidMOMama would be a fun way to celebrate the anniversary of my show. So, what is the prize? I can't wait to tell you. I'm excited to tell you. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to knock your socks off, so you better buckle your seatbelt or something, because this is going to be fantastic. Okay, I'm not giving away 1 skein of yarn. I am not giving away 2 skeins of yarn. Heck, I'm not even giving away 3 skeins of yarn. Guess what? I'm giving away 4 skeins of yarn and 1 book. So let me show you what you're going to get. One lucky, amazing prize winner is going to receive 2 skeins of MadelineTosh ToshDK. This is 100% merino wool, 225 yards each. 225 yards. Okay, I'm going to turn it around on the other side so you can see this beautiful yarn. Isn't that glorious? The colorway is called Magic. Alright? Magic. But that's not all. That's not all. You are also going to receive a matching, this matches what I just showed you, 2 skeins of Nerd Girl Yarns. This is Nerd Girl Yarns FoxyDK, which is 85% polwarth wool and 15% silk. They're 275 yards each. And the colorway of this is called Rad Storm. Amazing. Now look, watch what happens. If I put 2 together, it makes one beautiful coordinating set. Isn't that gorgeous? Now the magic is of course the variegated, and it contains the same color green that is in Rad Storm, plus various other shades of green, plus pinks and a little bit of blue. Unmistakably beautiful. Unmistakably beautiful. And not only will you get the 2 that goes together, you will receive all 4 skeins. Is that not amazing? Amazing. Absolutely amazing. You get all 4. Okay? All together, this is 1,000 yards of DK weight yarn. Okay? 1,000 yards. What can you make with 1,000 yards of DK in a coordinating color? The options are endless. Well, okay, they're not endless. You will have, there are not endless options because you only have 1,000 yards. But, I mean, there are so many things you could make with these together. It was difficult for me to want to part with these. These have been in my stash for a while. And I bought them because they go so good together. And normally when I buy yarn, I buy 2. Because you just don't know what you're going to make out of it. Because when you're just enhancing your stash, that's all you end up with. But that's not all you're going to get. In this would be enough in most cases, wouldn't it be? But in addition to that, I have finally finished my devotion, Biscuits, Butter, and Blessings, Farm Fresh Devotions for Hope and Comfort by Linda Kozar. And in this, it's a daily devotion, but it also contains recipes that, although I have not tried them, they are things like Grandma's Biscuits. There's a selection of biscuit butters that you can make. There's a recipe for cheese grits. There's a recipe for peach cobbler. There is a recipe for strawberry muffins. A recipe for perfect southern sweet tea. And a recipe for cheese straws. And then there's a few prayers at the end. There's a breakfast prayer and a lunch prayer and a dinner time prayer. All in one book. Because I read books and I share recipes. So I'm going to share an entire book that contains a few recipes in them so you can read. So I'm going to show a picture of what I'm giving away up on top. I'm going to take some time and put the entire an entire picture of what you're going to get in my Happy Anniversary MidMOMama giveaway. Let me tell you some of the rules. Here's how to enter. Alright, here's how to enter. Click on the MidMOMama Rafflecopter giveaway link in the description box of this episode down below. Now you have to access it from a computer or tablet or something where you can see the description box. I find that if I'm just watching YouTube on my phone, you can't get the description box. No way that I have found. You may have found a way, but I have not found a way to do that. So find the link to my Rafflecopter giveaway. It's just a link. You just copy and paste the link into your internet browser, right? All right. And all you have to do to enter is enter your first name, put your full email address, and say Happy Anniversary. That's all you have to do to enter. Okay, so here's my rules. There's no purchase necessary. I don't have anything to buy anyhow, but still, there's no purchase necessary. There is no requirement to subscribe, comment, or like MidMOMama on YouTube, the YouTube channel. You don't have to like the YouTube channel to win. You must be at least 18 years old. 1 entry per email per day. So you can enter once per day between now and the next episode. Okay? My giveaway is open. Oops. He plays with the blinds. That's what that noise is. He's over here in the corner next to the window, and my blinds are closed, and he does not like that. So if you hear that rattling sound, that's my cat. Alright. So, where was I? Open to the 50 United States only. Void where prohibited. The entry period will close at midnight Central Standard Time on Wednesday, March 3rd, 2021. The winner will be announced in episode 25 of MidMOMama. Unclaimed prizes are forfeit after 90 days from winner announcement. I have to give you a privacy notice. MidMOMama, that's me, will use the entrance email to notify the winner. The winner's first name will be announced in episode 25 of MidMOMama. Your personal data will not be used by me for any other purpose. Okay, my MidMOMama will not store, share, or sell your name or email with any other entity. Okay? And I also have a link in my description box down below for Rafflecopter's privacy policy if you want to find out what theirs is. So I have a link to their privacy policy. How do you win? The Rafflecopter will randomly select the winner. And MidMOMama, that's me, will contact that winner via email, and I will announce the winner's first name in episode 25 of MidMOMama. Disclaimer: YouTube is not a sponsor of my contest, and participants release YouTube from any and all liability related to my contest. So that's the gory details of my fantastic giveaway. So sign up to receive 4 skeins of yarn and a devotional with recipes and on the Rafflecopter, and just put in for it. And I wish you all the very best of luck in the drawing, and I will draw the winner on Wednesday before my next episode, which will be my next episode. I will film it on Wednesday the 3rd of March, and it will be live on Thursday the 4th of March. So I wish you all the very best of luck, and happy anniversary to me! Yay! So let's move on to the next segment. And now it's time for Mama Crafts. And before I show you the progress on my project, I want to throw up on the screen a picture of the diamond art that I had framed. I have to say thank you to Leanne, who had suggested in my last episode there was a gap. I had put my diamond art in a frame, and there was a gap between the mat and the actual picture. And her amazing suggestion was to use ribbon to outline my pictures so that my design key would not show on the pictures. That was an ingenious idea. And so what I did was I went to Hobby Lobby, because that's the craft store I have. I have no other, well, I have Walmart, but I try not to go to Walmart if I can't help it. But I went to Hobby Lobby, and I got some iridescent blue and pink ribbon. Isn't that pretty? I'll zoom in. This is a roll of yarn from the Ribbon Boutique. It's the Ribbon Boutique. Yeah, it's $2.99, and it's 5/8 of an inch wide, which is almost a half an inch. Maybe it's a little more than a half an inch. Is it more or less? Whatever it is. I'm terrible with fractions, I don't know. And, I was thinking, well, how am I going to get it stuck on there? Because I thought, well, the first thing that came to my mind was to staple it on. Because I wasn't going to sew it on. There's no way. I don't sew at all. So I thought, well, I'll just staple it on there. Nobody will see it, if it's beyond the borders of the mat. And I thought, well, that's kind of lazy. I picked up fabric glue. It's Eileen's Original Quick Dry Fabric Fusion. It is permanent fabric adhesive. It dries 5 times faster. I don't know then what. But it's a 4-ounce bottle, and it's $9.99 at Hobby Lobby. I had a bottle of this I used in the past, but it was more than halfway used up, and it was all solidified. It wouldn't pour out or anything, so I had to get a new bottle. But this fabric fusion stuff is fantastic if you don't sew. So I put some on either end of my picture, and then I lined it up along the straight edge of the design, and I just glued it on, and then I put the mat down, and then I put it in the thing, and put it all together, and my pictures ended up with a very beautiful edge. And I as you saw, because I will put it up there so you can see. But I did, my friend gave me her elephant. My friend Tiffany, she and I get together and we do our diamond art together. And so she gave me her elephant because she didn't really know what to do with it. So I did the llama that says, save your drama for your llama, and then the circus elephant. And I put them in the Sunday school classroom that I use. I teach children's Sunday school at church. And so they go good in my Sunday school class, and they're beautiful. So I showed pictures for you to see. That was a fantastic suggestion, Leanne. Thank you very much for bringing that up, because it would never have occurred to me. So that was fantastic. Let me show you the progress I'm making on my sweater. I am finished with the armhole decreases, and I'm just working the straightaway up the edge, up the back. So here I am. This is where I left off last time. You can see I've made significant progress since last time, haven't I? Yes, I have. So I'm working on the colored row. So all total, as you can see from the bottom, I'm almost finished. I have to work to about 8 inches up the back, and then I'll be finished. But here's that part, and I don't know how to show this part. Oh, here we go. So that's the armhole, and now I'm going straight up, and I'm on the caution. Now this pattern is Janet Guthrie by Ann Hansen, and the yarns I am using, it's all Knit Picks Brava Sport in silver, which is the gray, coral, which is this kind of a rusty mauve color, and then the yellow, which is caution. And it's coming out just lovely. I am using Knitter's Pride US 6 interchangeable with a cord. I'm not sure how long my cord is. It could be 32, it might be 40. It might be 40. Probably it's 40, but I do not remember. But yes, this is the progress I have made. I'm going to go ahead and move my progress keeper while I got you on my show, because if I don't do it now, I will forget all about it later. So there we go. So hopefully I will have the whole back of it finished by next episode. That's going to be my goal, is to finish the back so that I can start on the front. Now, whether or not I decide to take a break and do something else for a while, I have not decided. I want to keep going, but I also have kind of a mind to think about something else for a while. So I do not know what I'm going to do yet. But I will let you know next episode. Excuse me. And I'm going to show you the progress that I made on my diamond art. I'm doing the Dollabee Rose. It's also it's a rose diamond art beginner kit, just like the other two. And here's the progress I'm making so far. You can kind of see where I'm doing the diamonds. So the thing is, and the reason why it's got cellophane on it is because you don't want, this stuff is all sticky. It's got sticky on it, okay? And if you peel it all off, that sticky is going to dry up on it. So you pull back the cellophane for the area that you're working on, and then you lay it back down over there. And then you gradually pull it away until eventually you have nothing left. So, so I'm using quite a few colors right now, and I think it's beautiful. Now I'm not putting this one up in my Sunday school class. This one I'm going to frame and send it to my daughter Audrey in Alaska. She was going to do this with us, my friend Tiffany and I, and then she ended up busy on the evening that we were going to do this, so and she didn't want to take this with her, so I'm going to complete this and send it to her as a gift. So she had a very nice birthday, by the way. We said happy birthday to her last episode, because her birthday was on the 3rd of February, and she had a very nice birthday. She really likes living up there, but she does her own videos. If you're watching my show for the first time, she does her own cleaning videos. She's the one that got me started doing YouTube, because she started her channel about 3 or 4 months before I started, I think. I can't remember exactly when she started, but she does cleaning motivation videos, and she does crockpot meals. Especially since she's been up there, she's been doing a lot of crockpot meals, because she lives with her dad and her 2 brothers, and so she kind of went up there with the mind that she was going to domesticate the fellas, right? So she got her own show. You can see how she cleans that bachelor pad up there. But she has a good time. But that's it for Mama Crafts. So let's move on to the next segment. And now it's time for Mama's Pattern Showcase. And this is the part of the show where I feature patterns that I have found on Ravelry that are also available via different sources. Because in my experience, not everyone uses Ravelry, but some people like to know what the most popular patterns are right now. So this is just something I do in my episodes. I always feature 5 patterns. Last time I featured 3 crochet patterns and 2 knit patterns. So this time I'm going to feature 2 crochet patterns and 3 knit patterns, alright? And I always start with crochet because alphabetically crochet comes before knitting. So the first pattern I would like to showcase is called Feather Wings Shawl by Megan Lapp. And this pattern is number 1 on the Crochet Top 20. You can purchase it on Ravelry or at Crafty Intentions on Etsy for $6. It is crocheted using a worsted weight yarn and a 5mm H hook. It says this is a 91-page PDF pattern. It is developed by Megan Lapp, aka Crafty Intentions. This pattern is for a feather wing shawl. This pattern is written in US terminology. This pattern comes with instructions to make your very own set of feather wings. Everything you see in the photos is included in the pattern. All instructions are carefully depicted with words and photos. This pattern features clear step-by-step instructions with a lot of row-by-row photos. The gauge is not crucial to the pattern so long as you are consistent throughout. This pattern is a total of 91 pages containing a full set of written instructions with photographic illustrations, and there are video tutorials for particular steps and stitches available on my YouTube channel. Not my YouTube channel, Crafty Intentions YouTube channel. This pattern consists of one PDF file, and the last 30 pages are text only. It's printer-friendly instructions, but I strongly recommend you still refer to the photographic illustrations throughout the pattern if you have any questions. Using an H-hook with worsted weight yarn, feather wings from this pattern are approximately 14 inches tall from top center to bottom center, and 80 inches long from wingtip to wingtip. Very nice. Skill level. Suitable for intermediate skill level or above. Pattern contains clearly explained instructions for each round and many step-by-step photos. Okay. The pattern has been tested. You can use a coupon code on Etsy or Ravelry to get a 10% off your purchase of $15 or more of any Crafty Intentions pattern, or you can use a coupon code on Etsy or Ravelry to get 20% off your purchase of $30 or more of any Crafty Intentions patterns. She's got a group on Facebook you can be a part of, and she's got a link for her YouTube tutorials, and it's absolutely beautiful. These look like off the wings, bird wings or angel wings or whatever. It's absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So at the very least, take a look at it. But a 91-page pattern for only $6, I think that's a steal. That's a steal, and no wonder it's #1 on the Crochet Top 20. So check that out. Feather Wings Shawl by Megan Lapp. The next crochet pattern I would like to showcase is called Friendship Blanket Square by Natalia Johnson. This pattern is $2. No, this pattern is #2 on the Crochet Top 20. And you can purchase on Ravelry for $2, or you can get it for free at Natalie's Crochet Designs website. It is a 9-inch square using Aran weight yarn and a 5mm H hook. This is a written pattern for a 9-inch blanket square. It is the part of Friendship Blanket Crochet Along. It's a difficulty level of intermediate. Special stitches used is puff stitch, puff cluster, chainless starting double crochet, and all stitches are described in the pattern and also have links to video tutorials. So there it is, Friendship Blanket Square by Natalia Johnson. That is the second crochet pattern I'm featuring today. And so for the 3 knitting patterns I would like to showcase, and I have to say, the knitting designers, there's so many of them that just exclusively have their patterns featured on Ravelry, and that's it. And so I have to dig a little bit deeper for the knit patterns that have more than one resource to obtain the pattern. So the first pattern I would like to showcase is called Fox Slippers by Louise Walker. This pattern is #6 on the Knitting Top 20, and it is free at gathered.how website. It is a pair of fox slippers knit on DK weight yarn using a US 4 or a 3.5 millimeter knitting needle. It says these fox slippers were commissioned by Molly Makes for issue 61. They're really fun to make, knitted flat with a little color work, making them easy for beginners to make. The eyes are embroidered and the ears, nose, and tail are sewn on after knitting the slippers. And you add markers while knitting to know where to place them. But those are adorable slippers. They look just like foxes. I tell you what, foxes are probably my favorite wild animal. And so these ones are really adorable to me. I really like those a lot. So check out Fox Slippers by Louise Walker. The next pattern I would like to showcase today is called, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Daiki Wrap by Stephanie Alford. This pattern is number 10 on the Knitting Top 20. You can purchase on Ravelry for $7.99, or you can get it at Space Cadet Yarns website starting at $7.99. They're offering yarn kits to go with the pattern. So it is a shawl wrap using light fingering weight yarn and a US 3, which is a 3.25 millimeter crochet or knitting needle. The Daiki wrap, oh here it is, pronounced Dakai. Dakai. So Dakai is so eye-catching and yet deceptive in its simplicity, created from layer upon layer of the smallest of building blocks, each one so quick on its own, but all of them together combining into an absolutely spectacular result. It is the perfect project for Space Cadets mini schemes or any collection of colors that are just waiting for the right pattern to show themselves off. And because each garter stitch block knits up so quickly, allowing you to move on to the next block and a new color in no time, it's that perfect combination of both relaxing and yet endlessly interesting. Featuring a herringbone pattern that effortlessly shifts the color flow along the length of the piece and uses the join as you go method for knitting vertical sections together without any sewing up at all. The Daiki wrap creates an intriguing textural contrast with one side beautifully smooth and the other showing off the lovely boxed effect of the picked up stitches and joints. This wrap is absolutely beautiful. There's no doubt about it. And it looks like it is sewn together, but it is not sewn in any way. It's called the join as you go technique. So check out that pattern. Finally, the last pattern I would like to showcase is called Granny's Favorite Slippers by Nicole Thomas. This pattern is number 15 on the Knitting Top 20, and it is free on Ravelry and free on Nicole Thomas Knit's website. And to be perfectly honest, this is a true granny slipper. You know why? Because when I was still in grade school. I was probably in 5th grade. This was before I even knew how to knit or crochet or anything like that. And the moment I saw these, I recognized them. Okay, years and years ago, like I said, when I was in about 5th grade, we were living in St. Joe, Missouri, St. Joseph, And my great-grandma, my dad's grandma, lived in Hannibal, Missouri. And one Christmas, I woke up early with him. It was a few days before Christmas. We went and picked up my great-grandma and my great-great-aunt, Myra, from Hannibal, picked them up early in the morning, and drove them across the state back to St. Joe, where we celebrated Christmas with them. They were elderly, very old women, and they lived together. And my grandparents were coming up from Oklahoma, my dad's parents. And so my dad thought it would be, I think it was a surprise. My dad thought it would be a nice surprise to bring Grandma Bailey and Great Aunt Myra over to surprise his mom, who was coming up for Christmas. Well, when we went to Hannibal, we stopped in, and they gave us some hot cocoa, and Great-Grandma, she thought I could use a pair of slippers, and she gave me a pair of slippers that looked almost identical to these. The only difference is I think that they were crochet using thread, and it was yellow. It was more of a lighter pastel yellow, but it had, it wasn't stellina, but it was what they used, put in the sparkle in them. And it had a pom-pom on top. These ones had button. Exactly the same. And so they caught my eye, and they happened to be free, and they happen to be available both on Ravelry and on her own blog, Nicole Thomas's Knits blog. I'm going to make these someday, simply because when I saw them, they brought back such fond memories of my great-grandma, all the way back from 5th grade. I'm 48 years old. And I remember those slippers like yesterday, and so I don't think I have the slippers anymore. As a matter of fact, I'm fairly certain I don't have them. But they were definitely homemade slippers, and they fit me like a glove. They were her slippers, so in 5th grade, I don't know what size shoe I wore, but I had the same size feet as my great-grandma, and she gave me her slippers, which was fantastic. So anyway, I feel like it was fate that I came across this pattern, because now I can make I can reminisce about my great-grandma while I make Granny's favorite slippers. Although I didn't call her Granny. I've never called any of my grandma's Granny. I had Grandma Carter, that was my dad's mom, and I had Grammy, which was my mom's mom. But yeah, we had Grandma Carter and Grammy Lettinen, and that was the names we had for Grammy. And of course we had Grandpa and Grampy. So Grandpa was Grandpa Carter, and Grampy was Grampy Lettinen. So anywho, that was a fun pattern to come across. It uses super bulky yarn and a US 10.5, which is a 6.5 millimeter knitting needles. It's available in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large. It says this is a great pattern that is an old classic without clear origins. It's one of those things that most people my age or older had gifted to them from a grandmother or older aunt as a child. I love classic patterns that continue to be practical in modern times. We may not want to wear the sweater designs of the 60s, 70s, or 80s, or maybe we do, considering the rise in popularity of vintage knitting patterns. Still, a slipper never goes out of fashion. I have seen most versions of this pattern calling for 2 strands of worsted weight yarn held together to make a thicker yarn. But for my version, I prefer to use my favorite bulky yarn, which is Loops and Threads Charisma. Again, this is a super quick knit, especially with the thicker yarn, and super affordable, as you can get a pair of small adult slippers from one ball of yarn. This pattern comes in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large, but is easily customizable to fit any sized feet. Again, this is my version of a classic slipper pattern worked in all garter stitch and using any bulky yarn. So that is it. That's Granny's Favorite Slippers by Nicole Thomas. So in order to recap, we have the Feather Wings Shawl by Megan Lapp and the Friendship Blanket Square by Natalia Johnson. Those were the 2 crochet patterns. And then we have Fox Slippers by Louise Walker, Daykai Wrap by Stephanie Alford, and Granny's Favorite Slippers by Nicole Thomas. And those were the 3 knitting patterns. So this concludes Mama's Pattern Showcase. Let's move on to the next segment. And now it's time for Mama Cooks. And not too long ago, I made a shrimp dip that was really, really delicious. It was a creamy, warm shrimp dip that had some crunch in it from a few vegetables. And I got it from, this is called Taste of Home Cooking School 50th Anniversary Cookbook. Okay? So, it says, after 50 years teaching folks how to make great food, the Taste of Home Cooking School is celebrating. This special collection includes the 627 best recipes from the past 5 decades, plus a fun look at how the cooking school and the times have changed. Between the 1950s and the 1990s, the stages became more kitchen-like and the crowds got bigger. But the onstage home economists are as friendly and entertaining as ever, and these recipes have stood the test of time to become classics. So this is a book of classic recipes, and the pattern or the recipe that I used, of course, was the very first recipe in chapter 1, which is snacks and beverages. And this is the picture of the recipe. You can put it in a bread bowl. I didn't do that. I put it in a regular bowl, and I used crackers. You can use, bread cubes or vegetables or crackers of a sort of kinds. But it's called See It Disappear Shrimp Dip. And it's got a play on words because they use S-E-A. See It Disappear Shrimp Dip. And it was really delicious. It had, the crunchy was celery, green onions, and water chestnuts. Gave it a little bit of crunch. And it was creamy. It had cream of mushroom soup and cream cheese in it, and mayonnaise, and used some dill weed. So it was a really delightful shrimp dip, and if you want something warm to snack on, then give this one a try, okay? So this is how I made See It Disappear Shrimp Dip. For See It Disappear Shrimp Dip, you will need 1 can, 10 3/4 ounces condensed cream of mushroom soup, undiluted, 1 package 8 ounces cream cheese softened, 2 cans 6 ounces each small shrimp rinsed and drained, half cup each finely chopped celery, green onions, and water chestnuts, a 1/4 cup mayonnaise, half teaspoon dill weed, assorted crackers, vegetables, and so on. In a large saucepan, bring soup to a boil, stirring frequently. Reduce heat to medium-low. Add cream cheese and stir until smooth. Stir in shrimp, celery, green onions, water chestnuts, mayonnaise, and dill. Heat through. You can serve in a bread bowl and use bits of bread, vegetables, or crackers for dippers. And that's how you make See It Disappear shrimp dip. And now it's time for Mama Bakes. And this time, for a recent Bible study get-together, I made butterscotch streusel muffin tops. And all this boiled down to was actually soft cookies. I didn't think that they were cake-like, not like a muffin. I didn't think so. Maybe I just baked them too long. That could have been. But they were delicious. They were very, very good. It uses butterscotch chips. There were pecans in it, so if you're a nut person, you might consider leaving the nuts out. My husband adores nuts, so whenever a recipe calls for nuts, I typically tend to use them. I'm not a huge fan of nuts, but it's not a deal breaker for me. If there's nuts in something, I'll eat it. If I eat too many nuts, though, my tongue starts to feel weird. So I think I have a mild allergic to nuts. Almonds and pecans and walnuts tend to give me a little bit of trouble. But for the most part, I'm fine. My favorite nut is Brazil nuts, but they're rare. So I don't hardly ever see recipes that call for Brazil nuts. But at any rate, these muffin tops were really delicious, and you do not need a muffin top pan. You just drop them on a baking sheet, just like you would cookies, and they bake up, they bake up like muffin tops, and you just scrape them off with a spatula, and you put the streusel top on before you bake it. But these were really good. They were really soft. They were packed with flavor. And you know how sweet butterscotch chips can be. So, so if you have a real sweet tooth and you want something a little bit crunchy, go ahead and give these ones a try. This is how I made butterscotch, this is so hard to say, butterscotch streusel muffin tops. For butterscotch streusel muffin tops, you will need 1 2/3 cups butterscotch chips divided, 2 tablespoons butter, 3 cups all-purpose flour divided, 1 cup sugar, 1 1/2 teaspoons baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon ground cinnamon, 1 cup pecan pieces, 2/3 cup milk, 1/4 cup vegetable oil, 1 egg lightly beaten. Microwave 2/3 cup chips and butter on high for 45 to 60 seconds or until chips are melted and mixture is smooth when stirred. Add 3/4 cup flour. Blend until mixture forms crumbs. Set aside. Stir together sugar, baking powder, baking soda, cinnamon, nuts, and remaining flour and chips. Combine milk, oil, and egg. Add all at once to flour mixture. Stir until just moistened. Batter should be lumpy. Spoon batter in 2 tablespoon-sized mounds, 2 inches apart, on lightly greased baking sheet. Sprinkle reserved crumb mixture evenly over muffin tops. Bake at 350 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes or until golden brown. Cool slightly, remove from baking sheet. Serve warm. Makes 20. And now it's time for Mama Reads. And I finished a couple of books. Guess what? I finished Biscuits, Butter, and Blessings, Farm Fresh Devotions of Hope and Comfort by Linda Kozar. I finished it. And it is, I have taken very, very good care of this book. So if you're concerned about getting a sloppy old, dog-eared, chewed up, old, yucky, used book, it's not. I took really good care of it. And the pages are very thick pages. So I didn't do any harm to it whatsoever. It's in really good shape. So the one who wins this wonderful book, you're not going to be disappointed that you got a ratty old used book. It's not like that. I mean, the binding is barely broken on it. I was very careful using the book, okay? So I just encourage you to enjoy the book when I give it away. I enjoyed it. I took a long time to read it because the only time I read it was when I would sit down before I craft. So I would sit down before I craft and I would do a little devotional and then I would commence with my craft. So you can use yours however you want to, and the recipes in here are very interesting. I'm tempted to try them, but I'm committed to giving this away. I bought the book. Maybe I can take pictures of the recipes and save them for later. I don't know. I probably won't. I have so many cookbooks, I don't need a bunch of them. But this one has a few recipes in it. And I finished it. And I really liked the little heartfelt devotions that were in there. I thought they were very nice. The other book I finished was on my Kindle. I finished Miss Peregrine's Home for Particular Children by Ransom Riggs. It was an okay book. It's a kid's book, but it seems like they want, I don't know about, I know magical books are popular for children and things like that, but it seems like those are the most popular books. And I like relationships of people, and then, in these stories, there's always a battle for good and evil, right? Well, I enjoy the story up until the big battle scene, or the big crisis, whatever the big crisis is. There's always a big crisis. Well, I don't like that segment of the book. I like everything leading up to it, and I like everything on the other side of it. But if it could just eliminate the big crisis in the middle, I would prefer that, because I don't like crisis. I don't like battles. I don't like fighting. I don't like that stuff. So everything was fine. I don't know. I guess I don't know what that makes me as a reader. Because, a lot of people would argue that the point of a good book is that it solves a problem. It it wins the war, it wins the battle, it wins against the powers of darkness and stuff like that. And yeah, to an extent, yes, but I am far more interested in the relationships between the characters of the story rather than the conflict. So, and that doesn't make me shy away from books. I read them. I mean, that's the point for most books, is to get through the crisis. And, and that's fine. So, I read them, I just don't care for the crisis segment. And, I feel like that kind of makes me a weirdo, but I guess that's what I am. That's what I like. I like relationships, and it doesn't always have to have a conflict or a crisis or anything. Not physical fighting, I guess. So that's just me. But it was good. I gave it 3 stars because I liked it. I liked the story. It had some flaws in it, but not significant ones. So if you like a magical book about children, or you tend to be a young reader and you haven't read this one yet, you might go ahead and give that a try. But what I'm currently reading, I'm still working on 1 Peter, A Living Hope in Christ by Jen Wilkin. That's the Bible study we're working on. Now, we haven't been meeting because we have been in the middle of a terrible cold snap. And we didn't get together last Wednesday, so we were going to get together this morning, but the weather is bad again. And so we're going to just shoot again for next Wednesday, and we're going to wipe out 2 sessions in one next Wednesday. Because we meet the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of every month. And do that. But I have been learning so much. I have been growing so much from this study. You gotta dig. And this, Jen Wilkins' goal as a teacher is to employ the mind. You're supposed to love the Lord your God with all your body, mind, soul, and strength. Well, she hones in on the mind part. And so her lessons require you to use your brain and think about stuff. And, she really wants you to draw conclusions based on scripture, based on fact, and I'm really growing. This has been, I haven't done really, I can't really say that I've done any horrible studies, but boy, this one's really challenging me, and I'm enjoying it immensely. So I highly recommend that if you haven't tried 1 Peter by Jen Wilkin. On audio, I am listening to I'll Be Gone in the Dark, One Woman's Obsessive Search for the Golden State Killer by Michelle McNamara. I'm not really a true crime fan by any means. I'm just reading it for something different. I don't like to get my mind in the head of a serial killer. There's a lot of people out there. That's a huge fan base. People really are interested in true crime and stuff like that. I'm not. That particular book kind of drew my eye, and so I thought, well, I'll read that for something when I want something different. And so it's something different, and it's been okay. It's okay. It's been interesting, but it's not something I dwell on. And then another book I'm reading, I just started it on my Kindle. It's called Empowered, How God Shaped 11 Women's Lives by Catherine Parks. And I just read the introduction today. I just got started on it. And it's, as it says, it's 11 Christian women that God used and turned out to be in mighty ways. And you know, the premise is that these were ordinary people just like you and I. They didn't sit down at 12 years old and say, I'm going to be somebody. They just lived their lives for the glory of God, and God took what they did and made something big out of it that pointed people to Christ, and that was fantastic. So I find that to be a very interesting subject matter, and I'm interested in learning about the 11 women that Catherine Parks is featuring, because they're not all the traditional women that you would, you know, think of. Like, you know, I know, you know, missionaries and stuff like that, but these are different names. You know, some of them are traditional, like Fanny Crosby and Corrie ten Boom and Johnny Erickson Tala, but at the same time there's a few other names featured in the book that are not considered household names in Christian circles. So I'm interested in learning about some new people. But that concludes Mama Reads segment. So let's move on to the next segment. So now it's time for Miscellaneous Mama, and I really don't have anything to really talk that much about. This past year, this is my 24th episode, and something I wanted to let you know. You might look at some of my past episodes and discover that there are a few episodes missing. So let me explain why there are missing episodes. Last summer, I had participated in a giveaway, and somebody, you know, and I'm not going to, you know, it was somebody on YouTube that was mentioning that they were mentioning that it was against YouTube's rules to require people to subscribe to your channel in order to win. Because someone had suggested that requiring subscriptions manipulates your standing in the YouTube community. Well, I got concerned about that, and so I did some research which I misinterpreted, and I thought I had conducted my giveaways that were against YouTube's terms of service, and I got afraid. I became afraid, and so any episode that I had uploaded in which I was requiring people to subscribe to win a giveaway, I deleted them. I didn't want to get kicked off of YouTube for breaking their rules. Well, it turned out that wasn't the intent of that rule. You know, so I deleted, I think, about 4 episodes that I thought broke the rules, and so I completely wiped them out of there, and I deleted them, and they no longer exist. So that is why there are, when you see the episode numbers, they're not all sequentially there, is because that was my fear going crazy, and I was destroying the evidence. I was destroying the evidence because I didn't want to be kicked off of YouTube. But now it all worked out, and You can require people to subscribe, but I don't. I no longer require people to subscribe. I don't make people like my channel. I don't make people do that kind of thing to participate in my giveaways. Not that that's against the rule, so don't misinterpret what I say. It's not against the rule to require people to subscribe in order to win. But the reason I use Rafflecopter is because you are providing me a way to contact you. Because before, if I had announced a subscriber as a winner, it all became the winner's responsibility to reach out to me. And I had one winner that never reached out back to me, and she never received her prize. And I ended up giving it away to somebody else because time went by and they never claimed their prize. And so we ended up giving it away to someone via Rafflecopter. So the whole reason I use Rafflecopter for my giveaways is so that I have a means to get in touch with you as the winner, and it's much more successful that way. I don't ever want someone to not get their prize because they forgot to watch, the winner. Watch for the winner. So that's why I do the Rafflecopter giveaways, and that's why my episodes are not sequentially numbered. Even though I did all 24 of them, and there's stuff that I wish hadn't been missed out on, but that's just the way things go sometimes, and that's the way we do. But I've really enjoyed doing the MidMOMama for the past year. I featured a lot of recipes. I actually used to do cooking demonstrations, which were a pain. Now I just do the photos and run it through and all that, and I make it a whole lot easier on myself than I used to. But cooking demonstrations, I wasn't good at it. I didn't enjoy doing the demonstration parts, but now I just line up my ingredients, snap a picture, and then I take a picture, throughout the process, and it actually, I think it works out better this way. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to say in Miscellaneous Mama. I don't have anything coming up except for, no birthdays are coming up, no anniversaries are coming up. Valentine's Day, we had Valentine's Day. We don't really do much on Valentine's typically, but it was funny. I mentioned before, we've been in the middle of a cold snap, and Scott was home. We were home on Saturday, and Scott was just antsy. We were talking about going to a movie, but I knew he was getting restless watching TV, and I said, what good is it to go from home sitting in front of a TV screen to go into a movie theater to sit in front of a bigger screen? I said, do you want to just go for a ride somewhere? And so we decided we wanted to go to a bookstore. So we drove to Independence, Missouri, because they had a Barnes & Noble in there. Well, we got to Barnes & Noble and they had closed down. The Barnes & Noble in Independence is closed down. Well, we didn't want to drive all the way to Kansas City to go to the bookstore, so we did a Google search and we found half-price books in Independence. It was just a few miles from where we were at. So we went to Half-Price Books, and it's a used bookstore. They sell some new ones. And I bought a couple of books there, and it was nice. But that's about it. And then after that, we drove all the way to Jefferson City to eat at Eris's Pizza for some Greek food. And I had spanakopita, and Scott had manicotti, because they make it cheese stuffed with Alfredo sauce. And so we had a good dinner at Eris's, and then we came home. So we drove to from Sedalia to Independence, which is west, and then we drove all the way east to Jefferson City to have supper. And that got Scott's cabin fever. He got his cabin fever worked out, and I got to wander around a bookstore and eat good food. So that was a wonderful Valentine's. We had a good time. But that's it. That's it for this miscellaneous segment. So let's move on to the last segment. And now it's time for MidMOMama. I want to thank you for joining me today. I know that watching my show was a choice, and I am grateful that you have spent some of your valuable time with me. If you enjoyed what you saw today, I encourage you to click subscribe. All that does is make it more easy for you to find me next time. Episodes are posted on the first and third Thursday of every month. For the past, last time, it wasn't until late in the day on Thursday. I am going to start spending portions of my Wednesdays with my parents because my dad needs help with my mom from time to time. And so if I usually try to have my video ready at midnight on Thursday so that it's posted through the day, but I may not always be able to get it out by midnight. Okay? Usually it's 12:15 on Thursday. Because I may have to spend Thursday editing it, but my goal is to try to get it uploaded before the end of the day on Thursday. Okay, so if it's later on, just don't worry that I have forgotten. I haven't forgotten. It's just it's taking me Thursday to get it edited and stuff. So just have patience with me. But I will continue to have episodes on the first and third Thursday of every month. If you click on the notification bell, it'll automatically send you a notice whenever an episode goes on, but it's not necessary. Let's see. If you want to ask me any questions, you can comment down below at any time, or you can send me an email to midmomama2@gmail.com. I can be found on Ravelry as MidMOMama, all one word. And I am on Goodreads as well. So I have a link to Goodreads. I don't do Facebook anymore. I don't do Instagram anymore. I don't do any of the other social medias anymore. So, and I talk about that in my last episode. But don't forget to enter the MidMOMama anniversary giveaway. The winner will be announced next episode. So until next time, may God bless you. Bye.